My dog.
Well, that's how I respond to Armin usually when we're hanging out one-on-one, and I do other, like, really cringe stuff that no one sees on camera. So I just knew that he would appreciate it since it's been a while.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Okay, Armin, I have updated everyone on recording, timing, raising the hand, and everything else. And so we don't have any hands just yet, but we're ready for you.
Okay. By the way, BT, I don't know how to thank you for all of this. I hope one day I can make it up to you. This is amazing.
No, not at all. Armin, every single person has whatever part to play based on what they can do, and that's what I'm doing. So no thanks at all.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. All right, guys. If you let me know if you have any questions or any opinions. Make sure you raise your hand. Ahmed, I see your mic is open. Do you want to say something? If not, I'm hearing some
Hi
background.
guys,
Hi.
my name is Ahmed and I'm a young ex-Muslim. I'm 23 and I'm here to learn from you guys.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Guys, if you're not speaking, close your mic so there's no background noise. There's a lot of people here, so guys, make sure you guys raise your hand if you have any questions. If not, I could just go through what I mentioned regarding what I think is happening on the ground um, in Iran, and also the what I think is happening when it comes to the analysis that we reviewed regarding what's happening between Israel and United States, and whether they're attacking or not attacking, whether because Trump is constantly it's a roller coaster, right, with him. One day he comes up with a message that suggests that, oh my God, he's going to basically uh, attack, and in the most intense way that we have ever seen Trump ever do. But then the next day he comes and he says something that seems like he is completely willing to accept the Islamic Republic and accept that accept their terms, and he's not really interested in their attack. We also got a lot of contradictory reporting from what's coming out of Israel. Israel, for example, is not talking about Iran as much, but when they do, it's very significant. Some people were very disappointed with Netanyahu because originally, a couple of days ago, because it seemed like United States was supposed to carry out an attack a couple of days ago, right after the reports came about the scale of the massacre, and the reports came out that it was Israel that was part of one of the countries that held United States back. So Israel, alongside Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Turkey, and a lot of people were surprised to see Israel on the wrong side of this. However, once more information came out, the understanding was Israel's reasoning was different from the other countries' reasoning. So, if Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, and Turkey were trying to lobby Washington to stop an attack as a whole, because they were worried about the chaos in the region and what it might do to them, and what the way the Islamic Republic might retaliate against them, especially Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. They were very concerned about that. Turkey is more worried about a refugee crisis. That's what they're mostly concerned about. But Israel's concern was different. Israel's concern was that the attack was not big enough. And two, they had two concerns. They realized that the attack that the United States was planning was going to be not enough for a regime change. And also they told any attack that wants to completely get rid of the Islamic Republic, Israel was not ready for it to defend itself, because they wanted a bigger attack, but also a bigger attack. Their analysis was that a bigger attack means that the Islamic Republic is going to do things that it has never done before. So, the what this is what I mentioned earlier, that attacking Israel is very, very difficult. Israel has been preparing itself for missiles coming out of Lebanon and Iran for many, many years. They have been preparing for this for many years, right? But Saudi Arabia doesn't have that level of defense. Qatar doesn't have that level of defense. The UAE doesn't have that level of defense. And even Israel, with all of that advanced defense mechanism, they weren't ready. Like during the 12-day war, the few days at the end of the war, a lot of the missiles, a lot more missiles would have made it through if United States was not there helping Israel to block some of the missiles, right? This is why Israel was not ready. And just remember that the amount of missiles that the Islamic Republic threw at Israel is very insignificant compared to what they would do if they realize that this is it. They will throw everything that they have at whoever they can, including more defenseless countries in the region. So this is why it takes a lot of preparation for this war, and this could explain the delay. But more recently, so Blake, I saw you raise your hand, and I'm going to go to Blake after this. So earlier we had United States seeming to be interested in going to war, and Israel making United States to hold back. Remember, during the 12-day war, what we had was the opposite. Israel wanted to continue the 12-day war. Trump stopped Israel, um, potentially saving Khamenei. Now, then we went back to, you know, January 8th and January 9th. We had United States eager to do something because Trump promised, and then Israel making them hold back, favoring a more significant attack and more preparation. And now we're going back to hearing that um, the Israelis are signaling, Netanyahu is signaling that they're not very sure regarding whether Trump is going to attack or not. And they're saying that we're committed to take action whether the United States does or not. So now we're going back to Israel signaling that they're ready to attack, even if the United States is not. So a lot of people suggest that this is just mind games, that United States and Israel are completely um, they're coordinating this with each other, and they're just playing good cop bad cop. And some people are saying no, actually Trump is unpredictable, and Israelis are basically as unsure regarding what Trump is going to do as the rest of us. So these are the two analyses that I'm saying. Okay, BT, I saw a couple of people raise their hand, and Ezekiel, if you're not speaking, can you close your mic? And if you want to speak, let's just raise. So for people again who are new here, if you want to raise your hand, there are some buttons at the bottom of your screen, and if you click the reaction one, you could raise your hand like this, and BT will add you to the list.
So first up, we have Blake.
Blake.
Hey, sorry, it took me a moment to get my microphone on. So, I don't know if you were just addressing this, but what do you think of the negotiation offer that Trump has made to Khamenei about dismantling their nuclear program and everything? Do you think that's a bluff? Do you think that they would go for that?
They can't afford to go for that. That would be the end of them, right? So it's an impossible ask. It's an
So do you think
impossible
that
ask.
he's doing it kind of just to buy time to get more forces in the area and be better prepared? Or maybe just to say, hey, we tried to negotiate and they said no, so nothing we could do?
It could be both. It could be both. It could
Okay.
be buying time and also giving the eventual attack legitimacy, that we offered them a surrender. We offered them. I mean, they're asking for a lot more than that. They're asking for, like, if you the people who are the what's on the what the offer that is on the table is basically complete surrender, right? It's not even a negotiation offer, it's a surrender offer. So giving up the enrichment of uranium, which requires basically Americans coming in and checking everything, right? Because the Islamic Republic has so many different locations now all over Iran when it comes to enrichment of uranium facilities. So the only way that you could be like, okay, here we're not going to enrich uranium is like if you just open the door to your country. The level of humiliation associated with that means that the Islamic Republic would lose any support that it has. The remaining support that it has. This is I don't know if you've heard me explain this before, so I'll just say it one more time. So the Islamic Republic has three threats. One is the external threat, which is mostly United States and Israel. The second threat is the anti-regime Iranian people, the millions of people in the streets trying to topple the regime, and everyone else that wants the regime gone. But the third threat that a lot of people don't talk about, which is the greatest threat, is losing the last remaining support that it has. The I don't know if it's 1%, 2%, whatever it is, right? The people who are still loyal to the regime and support it, not because they're out there because they're getting food or something, they genuinely actually support the regime. That the regime is terrified about losing that because it thinks that it could survive everything. It thinks that if United States and Israel come and bomb, a lot of things will be destroyed, but they will go home because they're not going to have boots on the grounds. We will not get toppled. If the Iranian people come into the streets in the millions, they're unarmed. We'll shoot them. They'll die. They go home. We will survive this. But what they cannot tolerate is to lose the few percentage support that they have, because that would be the end of them. That would be the end of them. This is why they say the things that they say, even though it sounds ridiculous. When they come and say like, "Oh, we will destroy Israel. We will turn all of Tel Aviv into dust. We will sink USS Abraham Lincoln. We will do this. We will do that." We were like, "Are these people retarded? Like, do they not know their own abilities?" They know, but they need this. They say this. We are not the audience. The Americans are not the audience. The Israelis are not the audience. They have to say this because they want their so, they're not retarded, but their followers are retarded. Okay, they know the radicals that they have created for them to their support base that they have. They know how delusional they are, and they know that they need to provide this content for them to keep them motivated, to keep them in the delusion that they're supporting something powerful, something great that is worth that is worth, because if these people are, I follow them, by the way. I follow their YouTube channels, I follow their Telegram accounts, I follow their X accounts, so I know what they're saying. They live in a parallel universe. They don't live in our reality. They live in a different reality, right? And the bubble that they live in, if that ever bursts, they think that this regime is not worth defending. A regime that is surrendering to Israel, a regime that is surrendering to Trump, who killed Qasem Soleimani, a regime they need to be tough. They need to think that the Islamic Republic is tough and undefeatable. And the thousands of people who died in the protests, they were killed by Mossad agents in the ground, and all of this that's their reality. That's what they believe, right? And the regime needs to keep this bubble, stop this bubble from bursting, or else they will lose all of these people, and that would be the day that they collapse. Yeah. Oh, just last point. This is why they cannot accept the deal, because if they accept these terms, it's really hard. So the Islamic Republic for the past 40 years, they keep they keep backing out and surrendering to United States and Israel, whatever. But then they make it seem internally that something else happened. But there's some level of surrender that would be too undeniable, right? And you don't have to lose all of them, even if you lose half of them, because they already lost a lot of them. The regime used to have, like, I don't know, 12%, 16% support. Why is it now close under 5%? Because it was becoming more obvious to more people that this is not the regime that we were defending. So if it's now 2% and turns into 1%, or if it's 1% it turns to 0.5%, like, at some point would it become impossible to hold everything together when you don't even have your own people supporting you, right? So this is why they cannot accept these terms of surrender. All right.
We had a Jeffrey hand. Are you still? I see your camera's off. Do you want to chime in there, Jeffrey?
Sure. So, I mean, to bounce off what Armin said, he offers some pretty powerful insights. I'm going to touch on two things. I would contend there's a very high degree of probability that President Trump's statements are reflective of President Trump's version of what sometimes was called Nixon's crazy president strategy. And that's to be operationally unpredictable to offset the inherent disadvantage that representative republics and or open and free democracies have regarding strategic deception and denial. And as far as what our overall, what the outcome is, given the Mullah, think about what he said, you can't have a nuclear weapons program to the Mullah regime. Well, given the Mullah regime's pseudo-theological motives and subsequent inelasticity in said motive, coupled with the operational impact of revolutionary and disruptive technologies that make it easier for an actor to obtain weapons of mass destruction capability, whether it's nuclear or advanced biological. We'll just deal with nuclear. Think Silix or something along those lines. The simple fact is, to ensure the Mullah regime doesn't have a nuclear weapon, you'd have to ensure that the Mullah regime doesn't survive, because they're never going to give up that pursuit. Never, or the probability is very low. So, I mean, I think Armin's right on the money.
Yeah, to that point, like even if there was any doubt that the Islamic Republic was going to go for a nuclear weapon, now there is no doubt that they want to go for that, because based on what everything that is happening, they're basically they feel naked right now. They feel like they have no deterrence capability. So even if there were some elements within the Islamic Republic that thought to themselves like maybe we shouldn't have a nuclear weapon, they're not thinking that anybody anymore, right? They think like we need a nuclear weapon like ASAP, more than ever before, or else nothing is going to or else they're going to get rid of us. So, Jeffrey, you wanted to add to that?
Absolutely. So, even on top of that, maybe the strategy of considering that U.S. policy, you have divergence between political, policy, and environmental cycles, in part defined by our electoral process, right? The bad guys go, well, they're going to do what Clausewitz said in his second reciprocal action, which is the only time your adversary will comply with your will is if they view compliance as being less painful than resistance. And furthermore, that position is either immutable or is perceived to be immutable. What that means is that the Mullah regime would then just hunker down and wait for, say, President Trump to leave, or maybe the political environment in the United States changes where they think that President Trump will be constrained, and then go for the nuclear weapon then. Right? In other words, they just bide their time. The simple fact is this: the Mullah regime is pseudo-theologically motivated, which means the elasticity of their actions are very, very high. I mean, they're not going to change regardless of what you do. So, given that reality and the operational impact of those trends that I talked about, the technological trends, lowering the entrance barrier for somebody to get that kind of capability that is deemed unacceptable, your course becomes clear. The Mullah regime has to go.
Yeah. One last thing. Sorry, I know we have to move on, but one last point I want to add is that a lot of people don't understand the threat associated with the Islamic Republic being nuclear, because a lot of people are like, well, they're not going to use it because they're not suicidal. The threat with the Islamic Republic being nuclear is that then they will, with an almost guarantee that nobody is going to come to do a regime change after that, then they're going to do whatever they want, right? So there's two things that the Islamic Republic does that is a concern. One is that it's cruel and brutal to its own people. Two, it exports terrorism all around the world, right? It does that, both of those things, with the understanding that cruelty to the people in Iran might cause regime change, and exporting terrorism around the world could cause regime change. But with a nuclear weapon, it doesn't have to worry about that anymore. So it will amplify. So even if they don't use, a lot of people are like, well, they're not going to use their nuclear weapon. Yeah, but while having it, knowing that nobody's going to try anymore to come and change the regime, the level of support for Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, sleeper cells, they're going to become so much bolder with so much more confidence, without much less fear of regime change when they have a nuclear weapon. So they're going to become much bigger of a problem to the rest of the world once they go nuclear. And don't doubt that that's what their goal is. Like if the Islamic Republic doesn't fall, they will eventually have an atomic bomb. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, next we have Leonard C.
Hey, how's it going? Hello, everyone, and thank you, Armin, for this space and your time. Armin, you in the joint stream with Goldie, you touched on the fact that this is the minority in Iran, the people who carry these extremist approach. You said it's like a 5%. Okay, so my issue is that if 5% of the apples are rotten, okay, and I have 100 apples in my kitchen, it's impossible to live with the option that one of these apples, if 5 of those 100 apples is capable and willing to suicide bomb in the kitchen and take out every other vegetable with it. So I'll get to my question in a second. The thing is that you're right when you're saying education or indoctrination is the issue, and that these are smart people touting these false narratives, but they're touting it to stupid people. So I'm sort of asking, how do you handle these post-revolution sleeper cells, that believe that their God has been eliminated by the evil Israel and the USA, right? If they can still carry this belief that the Ayatollah is the representation of the Messiah in lieu of Messiah's existence, etc. And a few more things about the. This is my question, and just a note about the discussion with Jeffrey from a second ago. I wouldn't take anything really at face value, because similar to the 12-day war, there was I think a week leading up to it where the entire media was like, oh no, Netanyahu and Trump are not aligned. There was a misunderstanding, and it was all meant to get the gear going in the let's call it obvious direction, like knowing that the media is going to overreact and churn this for a week allowed them the freedom of space to act. And finally, just one thing, and I'm sorry that I'm standing on a soapbox here. The thing that you mentioned about the nuclear option, and that they will lash out and attack everyone. This is the Islamist two good options strategy. I'm telling you, you can either pay me jizya, okay, and not convert, and that's a good option. The other good option is convert to Islam. And the third option, which is why would you take it? I gave you two good options, is we will kill you. They don't have any other thing other than that. So that's the issue with Islam. Thank you.
All right, so guys, from now on, if we have multiple points, let's do one point at a time, so that I think let me respond to one point, and then give me the second point. I think that would work better, right? New policy. With regards to the extreme, you're talking about extremists. Let me just actually clarify something. We don't know exactly what the level of support for the Islamic Republic is. I think it's under 5%. Okay, some people say 1%, but we don't know. However, whatever the level of support for the Islamic Republic is, the level of extremists is higher than that. Because there are some people within Iran who don't support the Islamic Republic because it's not radical enough. It's not Islamic enough. So you have to take those into account as well. There are so many people within, well, not many, it's not like they're still a very small minority. Like, for example, I'm just going to make up numbers, right? For example, if the support for the Islamic Republic is 1%, then the radical crazy Muslims are 2%. Okay, because some people have stopped supporting the Islamic Republic because it's not Islamic enough. It's not. There are many people who have defected from the Islamic Republic because women in Iran are not wearing hijab, and the regime is not doing anything about it. Right? There are many people. There are some people who have defected from the regime because they were wise enough to see that their response to Israel during the 12-day war was pathetic. They're like, you're embarrassing us, right? There are some people who have defected from the Islamic Republic because they know that the Islamic Republic is talking to Trump. Is they're lying when they're saying oh my God, we're not actually talking. Look, talk to the hand. We're not going to talk directly to you. We're going to have because you killed Qasem Soleimani. They're like, okay, we're not children. You're actually talking to the killer of Qasem Soleimani. They say nizam uskolamun karde, which means like the regime thinks we're retarded. So some of these radicals are actually not that retarded, and they are upset with the Islamic Republic because they're like how, like, do you really think, like, okay, sure, this propaganda that you're working on works with some of your followers, but some of us really understand what's going on, and this is the and they're angry because they're saying this is not what we did the revolution for. And by the way, a lot of these people have a problem with the name republic in the Islamic Republic, right? So they want to topple the Islamic Republic and just bring an what do they call it? Jamhuriya Islami, Hukumat Islami. So basically, Islamic government. Without, like, they want to remove even because they understand the word republic for them is Western. The
Like an
parliament
imamate?
is Western.
They want an imamate?
Imam, but that's not what they're calling it. They're calling it Hukumat Islami, which means Islamic rule. Imamat is what the Taliban calls it right now, right? So they want to get rid of the idea of a president. They don't want to get rid of the idea of like a parliament and everything. They're getting closer to, just like having Islam rule, right? So we have to take that into account as well. So your question is like, how do we deal with these people? But yeah, Susie, you're right. It would be technically. I mean, it wouldn't be an. Yeah, I mean, it's an imam is supposed to be when the imam of your time is present, right? So, for example, if when Hussein is alive, he's the imam of our time. When Ali was alive, he's supposed to be the imam of our time. Right now, the Mahdi is supposed to be the imam of our time, right? And he's in hiding. So I don't know how you could have an imamate without without the living imam present. But I'm pretty sure they will come up with creative ways to suggest that Khamenei is the, I don't know, could rule in his place or something to have an imamate. But with regards to Leonard, you say, how do we deal with these people? I mean, this is depends on the type of radicals we're talking about, because a lot of these people are radicals, but they will just have toxic ideas but not become violent, right? Like, we have to see what percentage of them are going to become security threats, right? So I think in a free Iran, we're going to have so much anti-Islamic, the most of the population is going to be so anti-Islamic that these people are going to, the people who have these Islamic views are going to find that this is really not their country anymore, right? So I don't know. I think we need to talk to an expert regarding what would happen if you were a, like, imagine if you were a Muslim who thought that the Islamic Republic represents you and Iran is a country for Shia Muslims, or if you were one of those who think that the Islamic Republic is not Islamic enough. If the Islamic Republic falls and now Iran becomes the Islamophobia capital of the whole world, and you're a citizen in this country and going around with your religious views, people look down on you, and everybody, imagine, like, if you're going to the bank, people look at you funny because of the Islamic clothing that you're wearing. If people who are going to the mosque, people sing. I think it's going to get, it could potentially get like really, really anti-Islamic, the environment in Iran, especially given the massacre that we had. Like, I think I can imagine in Iran where people are being shamed for praying. I can imagine in Iran where people are going to be shamed for wearing a headscarf. Like, I could imagine right now that a woman with hijab passing by and people looking at them like, you're still wearing a hijab after what happened. Like, I can imagine that being the future of Iran. So you guys could tell me, like, what do you think happens to people that now feel like, okay, this, like, would they migrate out of Iran? Would they become isolated and more radicalized? What do you think will happen? Like, I don't know what will happen. I think this is actually new territory for us. So before even education could get to these people regarding, like, oh, maybe Islam is not a good religion or not, I think we're going to see a lot of hatred and shaming against these type of people. I think a lot of people who are religious are going to not even express their religion, are not going to basically keep it to themselves. Daniel, I'm hearing a lot of background noise from your mic. So I don't know how you deal with that. I'm pretty, when it comes to the security threats, those ones just need to be like a like intelligence operation, anti-terrorism operation. So, I'm pretty sure we're going to have like a Shia terrorist group that is going to try to topple the new secular democratic regime to bring Islamic rule back. Some of them are going to be convinced that this is good. This is weird, but let me tell you why. Some of them are going to be happy that the Islamic Republic has fallen because they're like, oh, this is exactly based on the prophecy, because the Mahdi is supposed to come back when when there's only, how many was it? I think 114 people left in support of Mahdi. So they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, we're losing. This is great. That means the Mahdi is coming soon. So we're gonna keep fighting on the right side until the Mahdi comes back. But the fact that we're losing, some of them are going to see this as a sign of the Mahdi's return to be sooner. Some of them are going to see it that the opposite. So there's two views. One is that before Mahdi comes back, we're very weak and there's only a few of us left. And some people have the view, no, the Islamic Republic is going to be handing over an army to the Mahdi, so when he comes, he's ready. So some people are going to actually be encouraged by the fact that they're losing. Okay, so it's weird. But again, I don't know. Education and informing people about Islam is a long-term thing. But when it comes to, I think like short-term, we're going to see so many radical changes when it comes to anti-Islamic views and shaming and Islam becoming a taboo in many environments inside Iran, that those short-term effects is going to be so much more observable than the long-term effects of education. Sorry, BT, I went for too long.
No problem. I'm curious about the Mehdi. Are the Jews hiding behind trees and rocks before then or after?
before then.
Okay, I
Before.
just have to make sure. Maybe I should buy a few trees. Next, we have left-handed.
Left-handed.
So the first one
so
is
okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Go on. Yes,
Okay.
go on.
So the first one is shit, now I forgot. 1 second. All right. So are Iranians familiar with kind of like the story of not Cyrus the Great, but Alexander the Great, just as much as Cyrus, or is it just mainly just Cyrus due to your history?
Well, Alexander the Great attacked Iran and he burned down Persepolis, so he's not a popular figure among Iranians.
Okay, so it's kind of like one of those grudges that never ends, like one of those blood feuds. Because like a lot of his ideas are just a lot of his ideas are easier to translate in terms of capitalism. I'd have to dig into Cyrus, but I was just thinking, I was just curious about that.
Yeah, I mean he burned down Persepolis, so there's not that many people who like him in Iran.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. And the second question, so really what I'm trying to get to the heart of is like in America, we've made so many kind of mistakes that are kind of built into the systems that we have here. And I'm not talking about like the woke stuff or the racism or anything like that. I'm talking about like rationalism is like this rationalistic mindset is what got us to where we are now. But now we're kind of hitting diminishing returns on innovation. And I think that there's a huge opportunity for Iran to kind of look at what America has hit a dead end and figure out, okay, here's how we can redesign like an improved version of what America has through the same values. So in technology, they call it like the leapfrogging effect, where like you have a piece of shit country, a shithole, and then you bring in all the latest infrastructure, and it's really easy to do that because there's nothing there that you have to destroy. And I think from a social level, from an organizational level, Iran's in that situation where like there's a huge opportunity for you guys to learn from our mistakes. And I'm just a bit curious if, are you guys trying to like compete with them, like not compete with America, but kind of copy what we have now? or can we like look at like, okay, here's some honest criticisms about what America could improve and what we can borrow from America that also supports our local traditions?
Yeah. So but just let me just mention this, that America actually borrowed from Iran when it comes to so many of the values that made America great, right? The founding fathers of America referred to Cyrus the Great's way tolerance and acceptance of multiple different people with different ways of life. That was a role model. They actually refer to it, right? They actually use it as a model. That is their model that the American founding fathers used to turn America into a land of opportunity that was open to all people around the world. So this is why they also consider Cyrus the Great's uh, Cyrus Cylinder the first declaration of human rights in history, right? When it comes to the mistakes of America, America's mistakes is, first of all, America is still growing, but and is the gap between America's productivity and growth is actually widening. So America, even if America makes mistakes, is still the land of opportunity and is still much ahead when it comes to productivity and contribution to the whole world, is ahead of every other country, and it will
I can
continue to
clarify a
be.
bit just because I know I know what you're saying, and you're right. It's like the momentum is what is has diminishing returns, and like the costs of improving innovation has diminishing returns.
So,
And like
so
in go ahead.
usually the momentum slows a little bit right before it peaks again, right? And
That's
I
true
think
most of the time.
yeah, and I think United States is going to also see another peak at some point, right? Pretty soon. It usually goes on a gets really fast with a new industrial revolution, and then it slows down, and then it gets closer to the next industrial revolution, and then it peaks up again, right? Because of the technological advancements, right? But America's America's mistakes, or is usually when it steers away from the values that made it great. And the good thing about Iran is that Iranian people really do believe in, and this is not about America, this is about every society. Any society that abides by these values, and I actually have listed them. If you want, I can read them, right? Any society that abides by these values progresses faster. And United States became the greatest country in the world because it was, it actually not only abides by these values, it actually sometimes created these values, right? But
Can I
the
just
good
give
thing about
one concrete example, and then I'll let you and others comment on that. So, as a concrete example, for example, you can look at Berkshire Hathaway and the way that value investing is different from, say, day trading or most other kind of speculative
wait,
investments.
wait, okay, go on.
I wanted to give
But
you a
then
concrete kind of finance example, if if that's preferable, because I'm not sure how that translates into culture.
all right, get to the point, because you interrupted a point I was trying to make, but make your point fast so that I could then make my point.
Okay, so Berkshire Hathaway has completely been able to decentralize their decision making within their company, and that's something that other companies are not able to do. Everything has to be centralized, and that in America, we've had this silent war going on between the local government and federal government, where all of the incentives come from the federal government. And as a result, due to political pressure, there's this incentive for the federal government to accumulate power and to distribute incentives downward to kind of control those local governments. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we have, is that bottom up growth is disincentivized by the way that the system is structured itself. But the way Berkshire Hathaway has done it, and he has a book about this. It's called Poor Charlie's Almanac. I think would be
All
like a
right,
better
let me.
approach.
I think we're getting off track. I think it's not a. First of all, okay. I think we're getting off track. Okay, it's not a good idea to compare how a country operates to how a fund operates. Okay, a mutual fund or any other fund operates. These are completely different. That one is in an area of finance, the other one is the area of politics. These are not comparable. One cannot be used as a model for other. Okay, it's kind of like going into a shoe store to try to figure out how to operate a hospital. Okay, so that's not a good way of comparing things. With regards to, when it comes to the balance between federal and state governments, I think actually America has shown that its model works very well, because it basically, instead of being one experiment, it ended up being 50 different experiments. And the competition between the states has created the ability for any state, if any state moves away from the values that make America great, then all of a sudden the other states are competing with it. So it cannot move too far away from it, because people have mobility to move between states. So no state can really fuck up too much, because if you fuck up too much, there's mobility between states because you're all American citizens, and the competition makes the states have to come back to the models that work, or else too many people are going to leave your state. So the balance between state power and federal power in America, it has been one of the reasons for its success, because it has created a competitive, a Darwinian model between all of the states that has actually helped all of them grow very faster than other countries, right? And I'll just go through what I was saying is that in Iran, the good thing about the Iranian people, which I think is the greatest resource of Iran, the greatest resource in Iran is not its oil, it's not its gas. The greatest resource of Iran is the Iranian people, right? And I say that not just because they're very educated and very motivated, and they're very entrepreneurial, and they're very patriotic. I say this because they also, through the experience that they had in the past 47 years, they have the proper values that make a society great. And let me just give you the list of values that I think that if a people in a society have, and if their state represents those values as well, is basically ideal for maximum growth in a society. Okay, so these are, and you could basically summarize all of these as classical liberal values, or Enlightenment values, or Western values, or the modern Republican tradition. It has different names, right? So these are separation of powers, secularism, representative democracy, free speech or free expression, free trade, free markets, respect for fundamental human rights, property rights, respect for the scientific method, freedom of assembly, respect for rule of law, civic nationalism, individualism or individual liberty, equality under the law. These are the values that are very common in a society, and if the state also represents those values, that's a society that's going to do well.
Okay, next I've got two questions that were given to me in the chat. First, how long for us to get rid of the US, I'm sorry, to get rid of the regime?
Wait, the question is, how long is it going to take for us to get rid of the regime?
How long could it take for the US to get rid of the regime?
Okay, the US is not going to get rid of the regime. The Iranian people are going to get rid of the regime. Okay, this is an Iranian revolution. This is not an American revolution. It's not an Israeli revolution. With or without with US help, the Iranian people are going to get rid of the regime. I don't know when. No one knows when. Anybody who comes with a prediction, tell them to stop, right? Nobody knows when. I just know it will happen. I know it will happen because the Iranian people are more determined than ever, and the regime is weaker than ever before, and this cannot last. This cannot last. And if the United States doesn't help, the Iranian people will topple this regime. It's going to take longer, and it's going to be very much more costly. If the United States does help, it will still be the Iranian people who end up toppling the regime. But however, because of US help or because of Israel's help, it's going to happen faster, and the cost is going to be a lot lower. The cost in lives, many thousands of less people will die. Many thousands of people's lives, Iranians' lives, will be saved. And also, by the way, not just Iranians, Israeli lives and other people from around the world will be saved if they help, right? But the reason why United States or Israel cannot do regime change is because they cannot or would not put boots on the ground. You cannot do regime change just with aerial support. You need boots on the ground. You need to actually go and capture government institutions. You need to actually go and, because no matter how many air bombardments you do from the air, it doesn't matter. The institutions that make the Islamic Republic, they could repair that, they could redo that. They go underground. All of that could come back. For a regime change to happen, somebody needs to show up and take over government institutions and everything that makes the Islamic Republic. And United States will not put, so Israel is missing military ability to put boots on the ground, and United States is missing political capital to put boots on the ground. So United States can put boots on the ground from a military perspective, but it cannot put boots on the ground in Iran from a political perspective. It doesn't have enough political capital. The American people would not stand for United States putting boots on the ground in Iran. And honestly, that's a good thing. We don't even want that. Like, the Iranian people don't want any boots on the ground, unless it's like I don't know, like a Mossad or like a commando operation, like a couple of individuals that go in and take someone else. They don't want like a ground invasion, right? That's not what the Iranian people are hoping for, right? But the boots on the ground that we do have. So Israel doesn't have enough manpower to have boots on the ground. Iran is very big. Iran is not a neighbor to Israel. It's not like Lebanon. It's not like Gaza. It's not like Syria. And the only boots on the ground that Israel has in Iran is the Iranian Mossad agents, which are like, it's not like an invasion. It's basically the people these are like special operations and stuff like that, right? But the boots on the ground so given that for regime change, you need boots on the ground, the only boots on the ground that you could rely on are the Iranian people that are already there. And given that the vast majority of the Iranian people want the regime change, all you need to do is basically remove some obstacles from their way and just let the Iranian people do the regime change themselves. So that's regarding who does the regime change, but also with regards to when, nobody knows. And anybody who gives you a prediction, they're just guessing, and you shouldn't take it seriously. It could be anything. I'm not even going to give you a window. I'm not even going to guess. But all I know is that this is a tree that is falling. We're swinging the axe at the tree. We don't know which swing is going to take it down, but all we know is that if we keep swinging, it will come down.
Okay, thank you. The second question says, across multiple news sites, it has been highlighted that CENTCOM are conducting a multi-day aerial readiness exercise in the Middle East. The purpose is to, quote, demonstrate and test the ability to deploy, disperse, and sustain combat air power across the region. How significant do you think this is in the context of an attack on Iran?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of people talk about that as well, and it suggests that an attack might come later than some people anticipate, because it seems like they're basically gathering information and testing for everything. But I think Jeffrey would have a lot better, a much better answer to this than I would. So Jeffrey, do you have any answer? Do you have any
So
information on this?
it definitely would. That kind of training is one indicator that one might use to kind of game whether or not where we're leading, striking, not striking. For instance, when we went and did the yoinkening regarding Maduro, I mean, they trained for that for like a month, right? So, I mean, it's definitely a positive indicator.
His follow-up was, is this, do you think, direct preparation for a strike or a smokescreen for surprise attack?
Could be either, both.
And Jeffrey, also, does this also suggest that this might take longer than some people are hoping for, because of all the preparation might take longer?
So remember, in a lot of the other responses, we talked about how it's a complex adaptive system that's fluid and ever changing, and actors engage in competitive adaptation. So it's not just the mullah regime in Iran that's currently occupying Iran. You also have other people like Putin's criminalized counterintelligence states sending in stuff to support the mullahs, Chi-Coms, all these other sub-state transnational wackadoodles that the mullahs pulled in that are like butchering brave Persian protesters and resistance. So as that environment changes, so does the good guys' view of how to take apart this monster, right? So they're going to constantly modify their assessment on the fly. That's why it's called competitive adaptation. Both sides are trying to read the environment and the other actors as quickly and as accurately as possible.
Awesome.
Did that help?
I hope. Yep, you got a thumbs up. Okay, Ramteen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Armin. Thanks for doing this. It's a real pleasure meeting you. I've been following Goldie's channel closely for about a month now during this revolution, and just a bit of background, it's meant a lot to me. I'm Project Vendetta. I wrote the Iranian Revolution song that Goldie plays. I'm an Iranian living in Australia. My parents and parts of my family fled Iran after the revolution. I was born in Thailand, and after they left, spent we moved to Australia after a year in Thailand, where I grew up in Sydney. Um, Around the time of the revolution, my dad's uncle held a high-ranking position within the regime and offered my dad a senior role. On his very first night being introduced to that world, he saw the corruption and cruelty up close. Um, on his first night there, for example, there were some regime officials and they were teasing and mocking some prisoners night before the execution. So because of that, he turned down a very high paying job and chose to leave instead, starting from scratch overseas. His first job in Australia was literally starting from scratch driving taxis, and then he went to working in markets. Um, I'm also a full stack web developer, and I'd like to genuinely help wherever I can. I know your friend Petipto is working on the Nazi list website, from what I gather. I'd love to connect with him to be able to help fix bugs, maybe help build and maintain a strong English version that works well in the West, because I'd like to help Nazi list along. And I've also heard there may be regime officials stalking some Australian Iranians from recent news. I just want to learn my skills and collaborate if I can make myself useful.
Yeah. So the website is it back home, because I know the website was under attack. But once there's a way. Did you see on the show we showed that there's a way. There's a place on the website where you could offer help. Did you see that when we showed that on the show?
Yes, but when I went to click on it, literally where I'm from in Australia, that feature is disabled. Well, like not disabled, but there was a bug where it would reset the page and not send through my message.
So did you try to contact them and talk to them
Yeah,
about that?
yeah, I tried to collaborate. The thing is, I've got my bachelor in computer science and cybersecurity as well, so I can great help with security on the website too, and to fight
Okay.
back against the attackers.
Can you message send me your email and on school, and I will you know give it to Petipto, because
Absolutely,
I
I'll type it in chat for you right now. So
okay.
project.vendetta85@gmail.com.
Can you also introduce yourself, write something so I could just copy and paste and send to Petipto regarding what you can offer?
Sorry, I'll see if I can compile that up right now.
As a forewarning, here on the school chat platform, you have very limited character amount. I don't know what the actual number is. I'm going to say probably around 200, and it will just totally delete your message. So be aware of that when you go to type something into the chat, that you very well may lose it. So just be careful.
No worries. Okay, well, I've compiled a message that you can send on to Petito, something like this. Oh, it's more than 280 characters. Oops.
Okay.
I'll see if I can split it in two. Hang on.
All right. Don't worry. We could move to, I already sent your email. Hold on. I already sent your email to Patipto, and then I could keep an eye on the chat.
There
And
we go.
whatever you
Got it.
send me, I will send. Oh,
Sorry, I sent it in chat.
okay. Okay.
Susie, will you clarify for me? You had raised your hand, but then Armin had called you chimed in for a second. Is that what you had for us, or do you have a question?
Oh, no, that was not what I had. And so what was I gonna say? Okay, first of all, Armin, I mentioned to you the other day about my friend whose uncle was killed. So I'm organizing all the details on the back end. I'm gonna get like pictures and a script for you guys to share. And then once that's finalized, I will let you know. So that you guys can share that on the screen. They on the stream. They gave their permission and they're very thankful. Um, Second of all, Armin, check your Telegram because I recently got hooked up with a Telegram channel, I guess you could say dedicated to revenge porn. And
Wow. Okay.
for people that we can not share these images, but let's just say some Sepah got Gaddafi'd. Um it so
Oh, God.
I will continue to send you because I know it lifts your spirits. Um the main thing that I wanted to talk about, and we can nix this
This is
idea
great.
if it's too much of a my idea is a little bit of a maybe a moderation problem. So BT, you can feel free to cancel my idea if you want. But I don't know. I was thinking it might be kind of fun to hear if anyone here has been attending any demonstrations and if they have, what their experience has been like. Um, I've been really enjoying going to demonstrations lately. I mean, it's very like I cry every time, but it's been good to connect to people. And I don't know, I have some funny stories. Like the reason why I now have these images that I spam Armin with is because I met this guy at the last demonstration last week, and he went up to me and he's like, "Are you Susanna from Atheist Republic?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I am." He goes, "Oh, cool, blah, blah, blah." And he was about to leave, and I was like, "Wait, can I like follow you on Instagram or something?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can, but I mean, I'm really radical. Like, are you sure?" He's like, "I'm kind of extreme. Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, it'll take a lot to scare me." So and I met this other guy that was like so nice. He also recognized me from Atheist Republic, and actually I had met him before at a Nowruz market last year. And I like wanted to stay and chat with him, but he almost seemed like nervous, like he just wanted to say hi and then like leave. And I'm like, "Wait, no, I want to be friends. Don't walk away." Like um I don't know. So if it's too much of a pain to moderate, never mind, but I just thought it might be fun to hear about other people's experiences if they want to share.
I love that idea. Are we able to do it after we finish Armin's questions just to make sure he gets out in time and then do it towards the end, you think?
You know what? You are so right, girl. Never
Okay, thank
mind.
you, Susie. No, I like it. So far, I've only seen one person in the chat say that they even went, but I really like that. I really like that a lot. Okay, very good.
And
Susie, that's so funny. Okay, so next we have Peter W.
Hello. But my question, well, the first part of my question was,
I'm not hearing anything. Do you guys hear something?
oh, can you hear me?
I do hear him, yes.
Okay, now we hear you. Okay,
Oh.
now I hear you.
The
Usually,
first part of my
usually
question
there's a
was-
delay for me. But go on.
Oh. The first part of my question was, in the Iran, do you think the like religious demographics would change so there'd be more Zoroastrians or more atheists?
Oh, way more atheists for sure. But like, well, let me. Okay, so in Iran, okay, let me just tell you what it is and what it's like in Iran. When it comes to Zoroastrianism, a lot of people respect Zoroastrian symbols and Zoroastrianism as a religion, even if they're not technically Zoroastrian, right? So we have people, we have a minority who's Zoroastrian, and then we have the vast majority of people who use Zoroastrian symbols as patriotic symbols, as representation of their country, as representation of their ancient history, as symbols of nationalism, right? So when it comes to people who respect Zoroastrianism and use their symbols to represent their love for Iran, that is like that's a huge number, right? Like almost all patriots, right? But the minority, but the Zoroastrians who are very, and I think like I don't think Zoroastrians want. I'm not sure about it, but don't quote me on this, okay? I don't think Zoroastrians want people to convert to Zoroastrian. I think they just want to not lose the ones they already have because the regime discriminates against them so much that so many of them are forced to convert to Islam just so that they could actually go to the university that they want and actually be able to get the jobs that they want. So many Zoroastrians just convert to Islam, and I think that the Zoroastrians would just be satisfied with that stopping. They're not like evangelizing. They're not going out and be like, "Hey, people convert to Zoroastrianism." I don't think that that's part of their thing. Some people convert to Zoroastrianism, but given how much it's just easy not to just enjoy Zoroastrianism without converting to it, then I think most people just enjoy it without converting to it. When it comes to atheists, we have self-declared atheists, and then we have actual atheists. So I think the people in Iran, like the latest poll that I saw from a couple of years ago, and I think it's much higher right now, the people who, if I remember correctly, the people who uh, identify as atheists is like 8% or something. But the people who say they are but the people who are atheists without actually declaring themselves as atheists is 20%. Basically, people who don't believe in God, even if they don't call themselves an atheist, they're still an atheist because they don't believe in God. But the highest demographic when it comes to religious beliefs in Iran are nuns. Nuns are basically people who don't have a religion. They might still believe in a God. I think that, yeah, I think they are the highest number is, I'm not saying it's the majority, but it's the highest number, people who do believe in a God but don't have any religion. Like they're not Muslim, they're not Christian, they're not Jewish, they're not Zoroastrian, they're not anything, but they do still believe in a God. That is that. No, not agnostic, guys. They do believe in a God, right? But they just have no religion. So that is number, no, not a deist. Uh, they're called nuns, guys. Agnostic is not okay. Deist is the type of God you believe in. When somebody is a deist or not is not about whether or not. A deist is somebody who believes in a God that is basically hands off, a hands off God, right? That's the deist. That's the God that you believe in, right? But when I say nuns, I'm not talking about the type of God they believe in. They might believe in an involved God. So, for example, if you pray to God, and then you're not a deist, because a deist considers praying to be useless because God is not involved. If you believe in miracles, for example, you're not a deist. So many of these nuns, they pray. They sometimes like, "Oh God, do this for me." They're not Muslim, they're not Christian, they're not Hindu, they're not Zoroastrian, they're not Jewish, but they pray. So that God is not a deistic God because that's an involved God. But so we just call them nuns, like with no religion. That's what they call. So, guys, the agnostic, atheist, deist, pantheist, these are all different words that have different meanings. But nuns is basically somebody who doesn't have a religion. And nun could be not nun as in like the nun that in a church, nun as in non-religious, right? And nun could be an atheist, and none could be a pantheist, and none could be a deist, and none could be an agnostic, and none could also believe in a God that is an involved God that does miracles and answer prayers. But that nuns is the highest demographic of religious beliefs in Iran. Does that answer your question, by the way?
Yeah, but
Okay.
if I mean, I think apostasy is illegal in Iran at the moment. So like some of the statistics of like it's change in a Iran,
Say what? I didn't understand what you just said.
Sorry, I said at the moment, isn't apostasy illegal in Iran? Like people leaving Islam?
Yeah, but it is. But good luck executing 40 million people.
Yeah.
Because more than half of the population, like close to half of the population of Iran, has left Islam. Right. So what are you going to do with that?
So, but there might be more people who will do when it's no longer illegal. So,
I mean, it's still illegal, but like, how can you enforce it?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have Heidi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Actually, this was for BT. I was going to say, and this is a long time ago on a lighter note, instead of bushes and trees, plant garcud trees. They won't tell on Jews. So in solidarity, plant garcud trees all over Iran.
What we'll have to do instead of Tu B'Shvat for a few years, where we pay to plant trees in Israel, they'll have to all go into Iran. We'll just skip a few years to help them out.
Yeah, but they have to be garcud trees. I happened to look up this morning the statistics on religious affiliations within Shia Islam in Iran. And while most of the mainstream are still showing like 98% Shia, some of the alternative, and it was called, I'm trying to find the name of it, some of the alternative surveys have put it more around 30 to 40% Shia. I wish I had it in front of me, but I don't. Anyway, so yeah, there's definitely indications that things have radically changed. That's all.
So, guys, you want real numbers? Here are the real numbers, okay? And guys, this is old. This is old. This is from, when was it from? 2020. And I'm almost sure that the numbers are much different now than this, okay? So the Islamic Republic says that we're 99% Shia, 98% Shia. This is a more scientific poll, okay? So Shia Muslim, 32%. I'm almost sure it's much smaller now compared to this. Nuns is 22%. Atheists is 8.8%. Zoroastrians is 7.7%. Spiritual 7.1, agnostic 5.8, Sunni 5%, Sufis 3%, humanist, okay, 2.7%, others 3.3, Christian 1.5%, Baha'i half percent, and Jewish 0.1%. Okay. So the reason why I say atheists are 20% is because these are the people who labeled themselves as atheists. But if you go here, if you say, do you believe in God? 78% said yes. So that means 22% didn't say yes. So I think 22% are atheists. 8.8% will identify themselves as atheists. So these are the numbers from 6 years ago. So that means Iran is a Muslim minority country.
A fun fact before we move on to our next question. The garcud tree is the wild cousin of the goji berry producing bush. Okay, next we have Danny.
Okay, so first of all, about planting trees, it's the Islamic Republic that'll have to hide behind stones and trees soon. And I'm not sure if there's any inanimate object that wouldn't call out, "Oh, Savak, there's a regime mercenary behind me, come and kill him." Earlier, Left-Handed asked a question about Iran learning from America's mistakes. America is, of course, an extremely successful country, And I don't know if you meant it in that way, but it's very arrogant to say that all other countries should be learning from America. There are things America should be learning from Iran's mistakes. Namely, I'm extremely worried that what happened in Iran in 1979 is coming for every other Western country, and I hope that everyone else learns from Iran's mistake. The Western world should also be learning from Israel, the only civilized country whose birth rates are not plummeting. And the most alarming sign for me is that America kind of forgot what men and women are, and they've been exporting this confusion both through culture and through USAID. Uh, and the Red Green Alliance in the US is as strong as ever, and I don't know what needs to be done to get the illiberal left in America under control.
Neither do we, but if anyone in chat finds out, I'm open to a private message and I will help out.
Yep.
Can left-handed get to respond?
No, wait, can I just say something? I don't want to yeah, United States can learn from the rest of the world, but let's also not dismiss how United States has been a major contributing force for the rest of, like, I don't want to dismiss how, I mean, we all owe America for, the science, the technology, the internet, computer, all of, like, medicine. Most of the major companies in the world are in the United States. Americans are the most productive people in the world, so I don't want to dismiss that. But yes, we should also be learning from other countries. It shouldn't be just from America. But also at the same time, with regards, one thing that we can't learn from Israel is the birth rates. I don't think that's transferable. Like, Israel is very lucky to have a culture that, even though it's an advanced country, it has high birth rates. I don't think you can transfer that to anybody. I think this is just something that Israel has within its culture. You cannot copy and paste that.
My personal opinion is that it comes from the fact that Israelis have more meaning in their lives, and that pushes them to have families and just do normal human things.
Yeah, that's not transferable. You cannot, like, take notes and be like, okay, let's do that here. Like, that's something that you have, and I mean, you should be proud of it. But I don't think anybody could actually, if like, the other countries are so desperate to have higher birth rates. If it could be copied, they would have copied it by now. So many governments have been trying to increase birth rates with little success. But good on
Okay,
you.
next we have Daniel Doan.
To respond to
That's
this comment.
All
right,
yes.
so Danny, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Danny and Armin, I think, made the same mistake interpreting what I said before, and that mistake is that like, I never said America didn't do all these things, or America's values were wrong in these ways. I don't think America's values are wrong whatsoever, but I think our strategic approach to implementing America's vision has hit a dead end, where I talked about diminishing returns. And there are ways to bypass those diminishing returns. And so, I've studied complexity theory, and there's some new biologist that's coming out with a new approach to evolution, a new way of interpreting complex systems that's allowing us to take things like Berkshire Hathaway's approach to development and really make it large scale, really scalable. And you can really revamp institutions this way.
Okay,
But
I think you should stop comparing countries to Berkshire Hathaway. It doesn't make any sense at all.
So I think we're just going to agree to disagree there. But when it comes down to it, I'm just saying that control should come from the bottom up. And of course, America should learn from Iran. We're making a lot of the same mistakes, the same problems that Iran is facing is now spreading to America. But when it comes down to it, learning from the mistake that America has made will make Iran better than America, more efficient than America, so we can continue to collaborate deeper. Don't hit that dead end that we're at right now. That's it.
Jeffrey, go ahead and chime in there.
Where he's coming from, it's kind of like he's let's see if I can help clear this up. He's trying to compare the socioeconomic development that, say, occurred immediately following the Second World War in Europe, because everything was blown up, and so you didn't have all this technological lock-in, and you didn't have institutional lock-in, and the infrastructure is all gone, with the idea that importing, or a post-Mullah Iran could expedite its socio-cultural development by importing best practices from the United States while sidestepping our failures. I mean, there's some truth to that. I don't see how you're, what is it, the Berkshire Hathaway? I just think that doesn't accurately encapsulate its, well, at least what I am viewing is what it seems you're trying to, the point you're trying to make. I think there's probably a better example.
Yeah, I think we should move on from this. I don't think like there are better comparisons here.
Beautiful. Okay, Daniel Dome.
Hi, good evening. I've lately started having a concern that, like, in the past Trump's administration, when he was the 45 president, North Korea actually finished their nuclear program, and like it all was like a funny thing because Trump met with bazooka guy, with the rocket guy, and soon after that they just declared, oh, we have nukes. And like now Iran was not Iran, the Mullah regime, they were starting doing moves towards getting nuclear weapons, and 12-day war began. And then it all like stopped in the middle, kind of. I don't know how badly the situation with the nuclear program right now in Iran, under the Mullah's regime. So the concern is that they can US will push right now, and then they will go back in the final moments, and somehow they will manage to sneak some warheads, nuclear warheads, and start threatening the world with with ballistics that they already have, and it will go like, oh, now we have some warheads, and you don't know actually exactly which rocket has which warhead. So good luck with that.
All right, so with regards to comparing this to North Korea, I think North Korea is a good. Daniel, can you mute your mic? North
Sorry.
Korea is North Korea is a good example for why we need military intervention, right? So Syria tried to get a nuclear weapon. The whole world was just watching it happen. Israel got involved. Israel stopped Assad from becoming nuclear. It was successful. Syria doesn't have a nuclear weapon because of military intervention. Saddam tried to get a nuclear weapon. The whole world was just watching it, just letting it happen. Israel was like, not on my watch. They attacked. Military intervention. Iraq now doesn't have a nuclear weapon, thanks to Israel. North Korea tried to get a nuclear weapon. The world didn't use military intervention. Israel was not involved with North Korea because that's on the other side of the planet. The world was like, let's use economic sanctions and agreement and negotiations, and let's talk to them, and let's use diplomacy to try to stop North Korea from getting a nuclear weapon. North Korea now has a nuclear weapon, and nobody thinks about regime change in North Korea because they have a nuclear weapon, right? So what is the lesson here? Right? The Islamic Republic has been desperately trying to get a nuclear weapon. Let me finish. Desperately trying to get a nuclear weapon. The problem with the Islamic Republic is that they're stronger than Saddam and Assad, right? So Israel has been for many years trying to get the world to try to cooperate, to try to get the Islamic Republic, stop them from becoming a nuclear power. And the world ignored Israel, and Israel every time had to get involved itself in delaying their ability to go full on nuclear. Right? It's interesting because a lot of comedians, a lot of people, and anti-Israelis make fun of Netanyahu. They have like this back-to-back videos of Netanyahu saying like, "Oh my God, Islamic Republic is going to have a nuclear weapon in 2 months, or in 3 weeks, or in 1 year, or in 6 months," and all of those dates have passed, and the Islamic Republic never ended up having a nuclear weapon. Like, oh my God, like this guy, why are we taking this guy seriously? None of these predictions came true. What these idiots don't understand is that all of those predictions were true. The reason why none of them happened is because Israel stopped it from happening every single time. Every single time Israel got involved and did something that delayed the Islamic Republic ability to become a nuclear power by multiple years. The problem is that you cannot do this forever. You cannot do this forever, and the Islamic Republic has been learning every time that Israel delayed it, to try to basically close all the ways that they are destroying. They're coming. One time is a virus, another time is an explosion, another time is a killing of a scientist. But the Islamic Republic is going deeper underground, more areas in Iran, deep inside the mountains, and they're closing every single hole that the Mossad or the IDF or whatever figures out on how to get penetrate and basically stop the Islamic Republic from going nuclear. They're closing every single one of them. And at some point, the Islamic Republic, this is why Israel is so much for regime change. Because Israel understands that at some point, if there is no regime change, the Islamic Republic is not Saddam, the Islamic Republic is not Assad. You're not going to be able to completely destroy their nuclear ability. At one point, they're going to have a nuclear weapon unless you do a regime change. Jeffrey, do you want to add to that before we see?
You hit all of that. I mean, again, a lot of the to reiterate the point. So Iran is a much larger country. The target set is much deeper, and all actors are learning from each other. You hit like a couple of the main ones, right? So hitting Iran's nuclear program is not the same as taking out the reactor in 1983 in Iraq, because technologies, evolve, and the ability to harden them all, evolves. And so, the anti-Israeli, comedians like, oh, he said, I mean, Bibi's right on the money. The assessment was accurate at the time he made it. And the reason the date kept getting pushed back was because Israel kept doing things to delay or push the date back. You named a couple of them. Given the operational impact of the revolution disruptive technologies that I mentioned, I'm going to mention Silex, for instance. So a lot of people say, well, we have these like centrifuges and all that stuff. That's a traditional way of obtaining enrichment. Silex fits in a garage. It requires very little electricity, has almost no UF6 outgassing. It is extremely hard to detect. So with regard, like a counter proliferation strategy that centers on constraining access to critical technology is rapidly becoming unsustainable. Which is why I said in the other one, like, the Mullah regime, when it sat there and said, well, you destroyed the facilities, but you cannot destroy the technology. That's exactly why we're going after the people that want to get it. So, I mean, you have to remove the regime.
Can I just say how much I appreciate having Jeffrey here? Just wanted to add that. But yeah, go on, Daniel.
And the second part of this question actually is, let's say whatever, Israel or USA or both of them make a move, attack the IRGCs, whatever they are, but like, I don't know. I hope that the Iranians are actually will be like able to like, what is the regime change? Like you get to the place of the institution, and you like barricade yourself there, and you say, all right, now I am the law. How is it
Regime
going
change is
to
the fall of the
happen?
Islamic Republic and the return of
Yeah, of
Pahlavi and
course.
having a referendum and having a secular democracy.
I don't know. It's
pretty
hard
clear.
to me to imagine it.
Well, don't worry, we're imagining for you. Like that's what the Iranian people are dying for right now in the streets. That's what they're fighting for. That's what regime changes.
Yeah, I don't want to be sound like I'm underestimating. I just try to imagine what measures could be
Well, it's
actually
either that.
taken.
Well, it's either that or a nuclear Islamic Republic. It's either that or a nuclear Islamic Republic.
No, I'm waiting for this Islamic Republic to fall. Like I'm not sitting and like, oh, I want Islamic
Yeah, I
Republic
understand.
or something.
I understand. All right, thank you, Danielle. I appreciate that.
Okay, next we have Babak.
First of all, love you, bro. You do not know what the fuck you're doing right now. I am talking to people in my church. They were like, no, Islam is good. Islam. I showed them your videos, okay? They fucking know what I'm talking about now. You have an impact, brother. You fucking have an impact.
Wow.
Hell yeah. And
really?
Besides that, I'll do this quick. I know people are tired of me talking all the time when I'm here, but first of all, the kaka tree. I'm actually thinking about that, making a meme. I'm good at Photoshop. I am thinking about making a kaka tree and making its branch a hand with a knife and another tree chopped down and bubble, comic bubble saying snitches get stitches. I'm really thinking about that one.
Okay,
And
sounds good.
by the way, brother, your video where you make, I found it and I cut it out, the part where you translate what he said. The guy, Kiram to the Hazrat Muhammad, all that shit. I cut it out. I put it in my reel. I'm Danish, okay?
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but in Facebook.
Yeah.
If you want me to take it down, I'll take it down. You're the boss, brother. But is there? People are watching it, and fucking hell, you are doing the right job. And
thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Okay.
You are changing
Okay.
minds.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Thank you. Love you too.
Next we have Ezekiel.
Hi.
Ezekiel.
Well, I was going to ask about that diminishing returns thing. So if we are moving on from that, then I'll just skip it. It's
No,
not
go
that.
ahead.
Well, I was going to ask for a more what you asked before, for a more concrete explanation of what diminishing returns are we actually talking about, because it sounded very vague to me. I couldn't understand.
I was again. I like when it comes to progress in in the U.S.
In the United States, yes. What diminishing returns in the United States are we talking about? What
I actually disagreed with that. I didn't agree
exactly?
with the diminishing
Yeah,
return.
I was going to ask left-handed for this
Oh no,
clarification.
let's not go back to that then. In that case, okay. I think I think United States is actually the gap. The progress in United States is actually speeding up. It's not slowing down. I think it's speeding up actually.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really. That's why I wanted to understand from him what he was referring to. What concrete example of a problem does he see?
I think, yeah, it's okay. I don't want to go back to that then. Let's because then it was going to be a conversation between you and him, and I think
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to. Can you quickly respond to him, because I don't want to stop your conversation. Like if you're left-handed, do you want to quickly respond to that, like in 10 seconds? I don't think he's here anymore. I think he's left. But if I had to guess, I think a lot of people just watch the news, and the news is likes to focus on negatives, and they think like society is going to shit because the negative news gets more views than positive news. So if we just talk about how much progress the world is making, not that many people are going to watch that, and that's why I think a lot of people have the impression that everything is going to shit, even though things are getting better.
Yeah, I think also some nations seems to have this problem from within more than from the outside. Like we in Israel also have this. We seem to believe our condition is way worse than what other people from the outside think. So I see people, both Jews in the United States, people in Iran and in other places, really admire Netanyahu when many of us really think he's not a very good prime minister. Me included, I don't really like him, but I do see how people like him from the outside. So I say there's definitely a very big gap between how we see our condition from the inside and how people see it from the outside. And I think I'm guessing some external nations try to use that to our disadvantage, both here and in the U.S.
I mean, Israel's a democracy, and having disagreements is what makes your country great. The fact that you have like competitive, your different views in Israel regarding your prime minister are competing with each other. That's a feature, not a bug. And the reason, if I was Israeli, I would be a fan though, just because I don't know, I would be impressed regarding how many of my enemies have been decapitated since in a few years, in the short amount of time after October 7th. I understand some people blame him for October. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, I could, if I was Israeli, I would never imagine that within 2 years, Hezbollah and Hamas have been decapitated. The Houthis have been bombed better than the Americans bombed them, and all of the main leaders of IRGC are killed.
Well,
like that, to me, that
I was impressed even before that. I was impressed when, after a couple months, the IDF seemed to be to take the upper hand of Hamas, because at first I was afraid we've lost our edge, and within 2-3 months I was totally impressed. The thing is, there are good things and bad things, and there are some things about the good things. I think it's not just Netanyahu, it's a combination of his decision making, of course, but also of the strategists in the IDF and everything. So well, yeah, I agree that our condition is definitely not as bad as it seems to many of us. And I think
you're doing great. Israel's
well,
future is very, very bright. Like, based on everything, I've actually watched some analysis on, the countries that are in right now, based on what's about to happen in technology. The countries that are in the best position to take advantage of what's about to happen. Israel is like really high up there. Israel's future seems really, really good.
Well, my worries are more about how Russia and Qatar and other nations seems to be able to influence inner public views in countries like Israel and the U.S. in such a massive to have such a massive impact that this becomes an actual like danger, something to consider.
Well, Israel was like survived much more aggressive environments and thrived despite it. So this is nothing compared to what Israel had to deal with before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, next we have Loquacious, and welcome in, new member.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Hi, yes. Welcome.
Well, thank you. So, yeah, big fan of your channel. I'm not Iranian, but definitely support everything everyone's doing. I'm here for kind of a similar reason as Ramtin. I'm a software engineer and full stack web developer, and I'd be happy to contribute.
Oh,
Any if there is any work. I do everything from deployment to architecture, and if we wanted anything with security to help make sure people can do things anonymously while still providing authentication and admin stuff. There's a whole variety of things. If there's I'd love to contribute some time. If there is nothing that needs to be done, I could always just be another pair of
no,
eyes or whatever. So in any way that I'm needed, I'd love to contribute.
no,
Help the
that's actually very much like actually when I sent the previous guy's email to Patipto was very grateful. He said, "Thanks for delivering this message. I will reply to his email." So if you want me to send you, do you know, like you're talking about the website, right? The
Yeah,
Mozduria website.
yeah.
Okay.
Or if there's anything
Okay.
related to it that needs to be done. So absolutely.
Yep. If you want to, no, I think that's the highest priority right now. So if you want to give me your email to give to Patipto,
Yeah,
let me
sure.
know.
Should I just put it in chat. Just put my email in chat.
Yeah, and also after your email, if you could also mention like who you are, so I could copy and paste it as well.
Sure. I'll give a brief explanation. But
Sorry, you can hear
Thank
me in the
you.
background. I'm Elin. So we're in the same room. Sorry. So he's my fiance. He's Jewish. We're not Iranian, but we love you guys. I've been the chatty one and
Oh,
very talkative. So yeah.
well, thank you.
Sorry, Armin. Is it the facesofcrime.org? Is that the website, or is there another website that
It's
you're talking
Mozduriab. It's down right now because it's under attack. Mozduriab website.
So
Okay,
there's stuff I can probably help with that to maybe create some rate limiting or put a few more layers of stuff on so that we can make it more resilient.
Okay.
But I can, yeah, I'd like to get in touch with whoever's working on it. We can put our heads together and see how we can make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy is an actual freedom fighter from inside Iran, so that's the guy you're going to be dealing with. And the
Well,
fact that the site is under attack shows that it has been effective. That's why
oh,
they're
that's
trying to take
exactly.
it down.
No, that's a good sign. It actually means that you've got more people than you can handle. But yeah, I've worked with some, everything from startups to really big companies that have had to scale with
Amazing.
large
You've
numbers
done
of
some
people.
badass stuff that
Yeah, I've also
you did for
done. I did like stuff with radio and
radio.
yeah, like we're sending radio over the internet
Communications.
and back and forth through that. That was many years ago.
Wow.
That's how I started. But
Okay. I love how much your fiance believes in your work as well. That's very nice. That's very
Really
sweet.
smart. I mean, I know you guys are like insane, but like he's just you will not be let down. Okay.
So yeah,
Oh, that's so sweet. You guys are so cute. You guys are so cute. That's very sweet. So I don't see your email though. Did you put it
yeah,
in the chat?
I'll put my email first.
Or you can send it to me if you prefer.
No, that's fine. I can use mine.
Wait, Armin, can you send me the email to get in touch with Patipto? Because I have a friend who actually is Iranian in cybersecurity, and she's been chomping at the bit to get up to some stuff.
Oh, I don't have his email. I have his WhatsApp. I could ask him if he wants. Let me ask his permission to. Maybe. Yeah, actually, let
Or
me ask him.
Telegram, what have you.
So I put my email in chat. I can put a brief description of what I can help with, or if that's helpful, or any other information that would be helpful.
Thank you so much to everyone who contributes in any way that you can, whether just watching the stream and liking it, coming here, sharing, clipping, and especially now with this cybersecurity help. That it's really amazing, you guys, how everybody is able to come together and kind of put our arms around our Iranian friends in any way that we can. So I really appreciate that, you guys. Next, we have Richard, and a reminder that we have 20 minutes remaining with you, Armin.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hi, Armin. I just wanted
Hi.
to follow up quickly on something you had mentioned earlier and just sort of give you my 2 cents on that. So I think this applies really to any non-Islamic country, but would I think especially apply in a post-Islamic Republic Iran. You had mentioned the shame and the social negativity associated with being Muslim in an environment where there's a tremendous public distaste for it. Just something to keep in mind. That kind of shame leads to this isolation and angst that provides a fertile recruiting ground for Islamic terrorist groups. They've had a lot of success recruiting, disillusioned youth in environments just like that. I know you had mentioned previously the importance of, positively engaging with Muslims while fully condemning Islam, and gently steering them, away from Islam as a means to fight Islam. That would apply, I think, more so in post-Islamic Republic Iran than probably anywhere else. We could be talking about, hundreds of thousands or millions of disaffected youth. So I just wanted to make sure that was, something to keep in mind.
So what do you suggest? Can you come back? Come back. So what is like? What are you suggesting? Something specific, Richard?
Only in the sense that Islamic groups historically have had a lot of success recruiting from environments like
Right.
that. Situations where people feel
Yes.
isolated and and feel angst. A lot of times, young people, but not
But then
always. Because of the anti-Islamic climate where we live.
But then how do you manage that? Because the anger is so high
Yeah,
and so many people are associating, I mean, justifiably, in my opinion, the
completely
massacre
justifiably.
to Islam.
Yeah,
And they're also seeing so many people, elderly people. Okay, so younger people leaving Islam, that's normal in Iraq. Okay, but
Mhm.
now we're seeing elder people. Like so many reports are coming out of Iran. Like, oh my God, my mom actually has stopped praying for the first time in many
yeah,
years. Right. So
yeah,
and you see elderly people who used to be like, oh my God, don't say this. They're saying I shit on Islam. Like grandmas and grandpas are saying I shit on Islam. People who used to not miss a single prayer. So when you see, then the expectation is now going to go high. They're like, look, my grandma wears the hijab, and she used to pray every single day, and now she's saying I shit on Islam. So what's your excuse? So in that environment, like I think like if I make a show in Persian and say like, guys, we should tone it down, they will boo me too. They were like, fuck you, Herman. We're gonna unsubscribe. Like, so I don't know how you're going to like the situation is like the anger is
yeah.
really, really high. So I don't know like
You,
what do you
you,
think?
I
Like how
mean,
you
you had mentioned before, I think, on Atheist Republic itself, the importance of positively engaging with Muslims, basically treating them as victims of Islam
yes,
themselves. If it's
yeah.
realistic, I think that might be the best approach in a post-Islamic Republic Iran. Is you basically put the blame on Islam proper, and you characterize the followers of that ideology as victims to the extent it's possible. Basically, just don't
Yeah.
negatively engage with the people because you might contribute to an environment where they have an incentive to sort of fight against the system and fight against non-Muslims. So I think if there's a way to sort of appropriately demonize Islam proper, but not necessarily
Yeah.
demonize the people who follow it or maybe are confused about it, that might be the right approach to the extent
The
it's even
best way
possible.
to do that, in my opinion, is to highlight the Muslims who were fighting the regime side by side with us during this war, right?
Yeah, that would
That's
be
the best
one
thing to
very
do
good
that.
way to do that.
Yeah.
But I
And
think it's
me,
important to remember, like a post-Islamic Republic is going to have inevitably a fragile security situation. It could be a really good recruiting ground for terrorist groups, for Muslim terrorist groups. So that's something to just think about as the new transitional government is getting established. The most you can do to discourage recruitment to these terrorist groups,
yep.
that might be just one way to do that. So.
No, that's a fair point.
I also think we can't underestimate how happy Iranians are going to be after this. Not as if they're going to let anybody get away with anything, but to be able to live their own lives for once in some of these people's lifetime is going to be something too. But I love that point, Richard. That's a really, really good point and something to remember because you certainly don't want to again, create the breeding grounds to make this happen again. So. Next, we have Dijal, and we are at our 15-minute mark.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I think Muslims are going to have a hard time in a post-Islamic Iran. I really do. I think you're going to have a lot of people who just aren't going to be willing to put up with that. I mean, look at all the mosques that have been getting burned down, hundreds of them at this point. And when you get what I think is going to come, which is a constitutional parliamentary monarchy, you're not only going to have a king. I think we'll probably have real executive power who will remember his own mistakes while also still, trying to be, defend everybody's rights. But you're also going to have a bunch of people forming parties, and you're going to have different parties, and there are going to be some parties that are going to be pretty damn anti-Islamic, and you're going to have the MEK types who are going to be vying for power and such, and you're going to have problems with them to begin with, and you just need to realize that you are going to have that problem, and you're going to have to deal with them. There will be issues, and some of these people are just going to have to be completely, like the MEK, outlawed altogether, just like they should have been in his father's kingdom. But that's just the way it is. What's that, Armin?
All right, so yeah, don't worry about the MEK. The MEK will be completely banned. No, they don't have a chance to come back to Iran.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they don't have oh my god, like the MEK's chances of in Iran is less than the Islamic Republic itself, right? So
right.
Okay, yeah, so let me just answer regarding the having problems. Now that I think about it, if I want to respond to both you and Richard, we have something that might actually make our work a lot easier when it comes to stopping radicalization, and that is Prince Reza Pahlavi. Okay, because he is going to be anti mistreating Muslims in Iran, right? And when he stands for something, most people follow, right? So he is going to be a major source of de-radicalization that is going to basically calm things down after the Islamic Republic falls.
Fair point.
Yeah. So that probably makes it easier. This is why we're so lucky to have him, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And that's why it's a good thing for him to have actual power to be a real king, which I think is what people are going to want anyway. But yeah, he's a definite advantage. Absolutely.
Yep. All right.
Okay, next we have MM. All right, moving on to Heidi.
Heidi. By the way, I'm so glad Cat Lady has her camera on now. That's amazing.
Hi. Actually, I noticed I was going to reply to left-handed and what is it, Sani? Yeah, most people in the United States, actually both inside and outside, don't consider that the United States has multiple layers of safeguards that were built in to kind of protect local culture. And but anyway, since we've moved on from that, I'm not going to go into it, but that needs to be taken into consideration. It's not just the federal government that kind of impacts life. So that's all. But they're gone now.
One thing, yeah. So one thing I need to mention regarding, this reminds me about something is, this is actually a good example for why you cannot copy other countries just because it's working for them, right? in the same way that we discussed that Israel has been very successful when it comes to higher birth rates, but it's not copyable. America has been very successful with federalism, but federalism, for example, in Iran would be a disaster, right? This
It
is
would be
why
problematic. You're right.
it would be a huge problem in Iran. So federalism is really good for America, but it would not be good for Iran. And this shows that just because a country is seeing results, you cannot just copy and paste what they're doing. You have to take your own culture, your own history, your own people, your own geography, and so many other things into account.
Exactly. Culture matters hugely.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. All right.
Okay,
Are we good?
finally, last one. We have Eric, and then Armin. We did have someone who wanted to speak to you after the recording is done. However, I'm not sure if they're still in chat or not. But Eric, the floor is yours.
Thank you, BT. Hey guys. So I I just wanted to share an update on what's going on in Europe and their actions and or maybe lack thereof actions. So last week there were a debate in the Swedish Parliament. I'm from Swedish and I'm also half Iranian. And every party in Sweden that were represented in the parliament is for listing the IRGC and the regime as terrorists. And tomorrow there will be a meeting between the foreign ministers of the EU, and the Swedish foreign minister was hopeful that they were going to list some people from the regime or affiliates to the regimes as terrorists. So hopefully we'll get new sanctions tomorrow. They didn't mention any names, and they said specifically representatives. So I don't think there will be an entire listing of the IRGC. And also, that came up during debate, there was Nima Gholam Alipur from a party in Sweden. He actually mentioned to open up communication with Reza Pahlavi. He was the only one to do so. And also there were other representative called Ali Reza Akhundi that mentioned that there were some economic interests to not list the IRGC as terrorists. Not only just because there has been a lot of talk on it's ideology, it's because of ideology, but there's actually also economic reasons. So he specifically mentioned saffron trade between the IRGC and Spain. I'm not sure if that's true. That was just what he said.
Saffron trade?
Yes.
They're concerned about the saffron trade?
Yeah,
That's what?
that's what he said. Yeah.
After a massacre of more than 30,000 Iranians by the Islamic Republic, they're not listing the IRGC as a terrorist group because of saffron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get the saffron from Spain. It's not as good, but damn.
Yeah. And also I looked into the numbers of the trade between the EU and Iran for the last couple of years, and now the numbers for last year haven't come out, but in 2024 it was still $4 billion in European Union exports to Iran. And if you look at some countries that are mentioned in blocking this listing, they've listed Italy, France, Spain, and Germany. They have quite large exports numbers to Iran. There's not crazy high, but they are still high. Germany, for example, they have 1.3 billion US dollars, and Italy they have 554 million, and they also import a lot of cheap steel. So there's not just only the ideological stuff. It's economics as well.
It's interesting because European countries always, like many times, try to pretend that United States is so concerned about economy, not about human rights. But we European countries have higher standards, and we care about human rights, and we stand for human rights even when America doesn't. America wants oil. America wants oil. You want saffron? Like if America sells human rights for the sake of oil, you're selling human rights for the sake of saffron.
Yeah.
Like, what a. By the way, I just want to say, Eric, I really appreciate you. The fact that you're doing this and you're like trying to be part of the solution. I'm really grateful for you and others like you.
Yeah, I'm really thankful for you as well to like provide the space and giving us your time and so on. So really appreciate your words as well. Thanks.
Thank you. But just one last thing, do you think what do you think our strategy should be as Iranians? Like humiliation or encouragement, more advocacy in Europe, or just focus more on United States? Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I'm not sure because it's so divided and like some on one hand we have like the politicians as I described. It's both economic and the ideology for some persons, and then we have the media, which in Sweden is, I don't know what they're doing. They publish some articles like the Shah ruled with an iron fist, talking about Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, and they posted another one with Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi in quotation marks, like he's not the Crown Prince. And they also in the same article wrote the so-called Crown Prince. And
Wow.
and also there's like in Gothenburg this weekend the Mujahideen had a demonstration there. So it's
oh no.
Yeah, but I think it's just pushing harder on the European Union. Like, I mean, they even though they don't have a significant military and can do strikes to weaken the regime, I think public pushing at the members of parliament to like create some action at least.
One last question: when you say ideological reasons, can you really shortly answer what do you mean? Like, what is our ideological reasons? I understand the economic ones, but
Yeah, because right now I think everyone in here at least agrees on that Reza Pahlavi is the only he's the only guy who can bring this home, and then you have some other members in the parliaments in the European parliaments that like, no, he's not the guy, we should not let him hijack this revolution, and they think this is some kind of MEK revolution. And yeah, because the ideological point is more like a lack of support for Reza Pahlavi than they are in support of something else. That's like my take on it.
So they're not. I mean, even if they didn't believe in Princess of Pahlavi, can they not at least admit that he's not going to be massacring thousands of Iranians in the streets? Like, can they not just admit that it's going to be an improvement, even if you don't like him? Like, unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, who is more net good for the world? Is it Reza Pahlavi or is it Ali Khamenei? So, yeah.
All right, guys. Okay. BT. Oh, Cat Lady.
Yes. So first of all, I want to see if it works also with the sound. So, good?
Yes.
Okay. I hear myself. Okay, weird. I need to work on I heard myself twice. It's distracting. So, do you remember before all of this began that you were talking about Nick Fuentes and all of that? The good old days? I heard today something amazing. He's like, he's speaking like, no, we should support, we should continue the aid. He did more of that, and he's actually telling, no, guys, you're mistaking. If we let them win, they will be stronger than us. It's like, I cannot.
Who?
Nick.
No, Nick. Who is he talking about? Support aid for who?
Israel. It's like praising Israel.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
And people are actually talking against him now. So I was so happy.
Is he being ironic? Is he like being?
No. He actually realized that if he wants to hurt us, he needs to hurt us, not to lie that he wants America first and all that, which is so weird of him to expose. But it's funny.
Can you send that? Can you? Is there a clip of that? Like, can you send it to me? I need to see this myself.
I will check. I heard many
exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. He was talking to Richard Spencer about Israel and Iran, and they're actually talking about foreign policy. And Spencer said, "I'm not an isolationist. I don't want America to not be involved in the world." And like I want.
Joel, your microphone is really bad again. But
and he says also about Iran. He says, everybody knows that if we let, like, now that they will finish the war, obviously if they were in a better place and Iran will fall, and no one will. What? It's like
no, Kennedy. I don't know what you're talking. I just saw a video from him yesterday saying that this is a Mossad operation, that the revolution is fake.
He knowingly lies, but I will find it. Maybe I'll clip it or something. Maybe I'll do a video of it. By the way, I'm planning someday to do a YouTube channel. So
okay.
Send
me that link. I really need to see. I really need to see this. Send me the full version if you can.
I'll find it.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Hilarious.
Yeah, there's this guy. He's called Ollie. He's a British Jew. He runs a channel, JTV on YouTube. Look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, he was talking about. He was playing this clip, and he was pretty amused about it too. But yeah, like they want to have control.
I'll find it.
Okay.
And Armin looks very tired.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, Digital, fix your mic. Fix your mic, please. Okay, BT, do we stop recording?
You're out of here, Armin.
Yeah, I was waiting for this, BT.